So what we're going to do here, I'm going to go through this video that this character, Edmonton Gang Stalking, posted as a response to me and go through some of the things he says, because it's mostly lies, falsehoods, and just, it's mostly lies and him trying to play the victim and trying to invert the situation and gaslight and make it as if I'm some horrible person for calling him out for the online perpetrating that he's been doing. It's well known to people who are real targets that they will have people online, if you're looking into certain things, the videos that you're looking at, they will often have those people do things to emulate you, and this is part of the perpetrating. It's part of the online targeting. They target you just as much when you're online as when you go out. I've dealt with this consistently. But this guy is really above some of the other stuff I've seen. Like I've said, here are some of the points that I've already made in the other video. He's reenacted specific events almost with precision, specific events in my life, like this situation with taking a train from Toronto Union Station to Edmonton. Now, I purchased a ticket from Toronto Union Station to Edmonton when the targeting was really bad in Toronto. I didn't travel all the way to Edmonton. However, the thing that he's reenacting too with stalkers being on the train is again identical to something that I dealt with in my life. Again, I didn't have that in a video, but you've seen the evidence I've put up for over, well, 2 years, over 2 years now if you count my BitChute account, going close to 3 years. So you can believe me or you can believe this guy who just recently set up his account and started continually doing things to perp and emulate me. Edmonton Gang Stalking. Secondly, he took the logo. Now, it's not exactly the same, but he took a picture that's very similar to the logo that I have, which is a picture of a one-headlight car that I took, and you can see that picture in one of my videos. So it's not something I downloaded. Now, he's saying in this video here, he lies and says that I say it's the exact picture. I never said that. I said but it's strikingly similar. And when we put this together with the other things that this guy has done, the numerous points I made, it all points to him being a perpetrator and that this type of thing is done intentionally to target people. Now, that's very similar to my logo. Now, another thing that's interesting here with Jay from Edmonton, he says his name's Jay. Who knows whether that's actually his name. Like I said before, he emailed me with this 007 at the end of his name, which is another point. For secret agent, of course, 007, symbolic for secret agent, and of course, it's not just him. There are a lot of shills online who put that 007 at the end of their name. And I said to him sarcastically, yeah, I guess you just like James Bond, right? In the email. Because I saw through it right away. I've dealt with people like this before. And he said in the email again, he repeated something specifically from my life, which I had dealt with this train ride from Union Station, Toronto Union Station, to Edmonton. And of course, I got off in Winnipeg, and there was a lot of perpetrating activity going on the train. Now, the only difference with his situation is, I guess he traveled all the way to Edmonton. Now, when he posts this video on the train, here's the interesting thing with Jay. We don't see any timestamp. We don't see any dates. So I guess he's going to claim this was a while ago, yet there's no timestamps or dates on any of his videos. So I'm suspecting that this was just recently created, this whole fake situation. Now, he's on the train. He's on the Via Rail train. But it's done to reenact an event in my life. And that's why they had him contact me, so I would see his channel, because otherwise I wouldn't even care or look at the stuff. So let's take note of another thing. Now, when Jay had his BitChute channel, he contacted me shortly after creating that, and he had, what, like 2 subscribers or something? No one was seeing his stuff, and his stuff is basically, you know, illegitimate. It's stuff that a fake TI would put up. There's not a lot of real evidence in here. So no one was seeing it there. So then he creates his YouTube account, Edmonton Gang Stalking. After on BitChute, it's important to note another point that goes along with the numerous points I made. If it was just one thing, you could dismiss it as coincidental. There are so many points with this guy that you absolutely can't. After sending me the email, he told me the channel name that he had on BitChute, and I said, I don't see it, or whatever. And then eventually I did, and then I saw that he changed the channel name to one almost identical to my second channel. So my second channel was called Organized Stalking in Canada. He then abruptly changes the channel name to Organized Stalking in Edmonton. Now let's put that together with the other points I made about this guy. Like I said, if it was one or two things, you could dismiss that as being coincidental. You got to look at the whole picture here. Now, here's another very interesting thing. Jay just recently started this YouTube account, like about 2 weeks ago? Now look at how many subscribers he already has. He has 50 subscribers in just 2 weeks. And the stuff he posts, like I said, you can use your own judgment. To me, the stuff he posts is not legitimate targeting. It's just typical stuff that a fake TI would post. You can use your own judgment. I mean, if you want to believe he's real, okay, fine. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you one of two things is in play here. Either he's lying or I'm lying. Those are the only two possibilities. Now, another thing we have to think of, okay, first of all, we look at how fast he got those 50 subscribers. So in 2 years on YouTube, I have a little over 300 subscribers. And it took me a long time to get that because real TIs, you know, they're not going to let that be seen. I mean, you can see it, you can look it up, but they're not going to let you get a lot of subscribers. Now, this is 1/6 of the amount of subscribers I have in 2 years he gets in 2 weeks. Do you think that's legitimate based upon the material he puts up? Look at his material. Now, are they giving him subscribers to prop him up like a lot of fake TIs? I'd say so. I'd say that, in my opinion, I think they are. But let's take a look in about 3 months and see. I suspect he'll be up to around the amount of subscribers I have now, if not more. But we'll see. Okay, so again, I want to go through some of the videos here. And this response that he sends to me here, I'm not going to take a long time with this stuff, but I want to go over it. Now, where is it here? Okay, so response to controlling the narrative. Let's see.
So we're online today. Well, just now, and I checked my subscriptions.
So first of all, one thing I want to point out here is when people are doing this, these perpetrators, they always have to invert the situation and make themselves into victims. And that's all part of the gaslighting process. So keep in mind, he's kind of like making himself out to be a victim and making it out like I'm attacking him for no reason. Ask yourself this. What would be the point of me even bothering to say anything about this person who's had almost no subscribers on BitChute if there wasn't a point to it? Why would I do that for no reason and point out all those points that I made about him if there was no reason to it? I'm not going to do that for no reason about someone who's completely unknown and has absolutely no following. That doesn't make any sense. But he wants you to believe that that's the case.
Me too, as I usually do, because I'm interested in the information that other targeted individuals put out.
Yeah, he's interested in also associating with these many fake targeted individuals who set up these fake communities online as part of an intelligence operative to draw real people in and then perp them, because he's one of those people. So of course he's interested in that type of thing, and he's going to associate with those people and be well accepted within those fake communities as well. Rest assured. I don't see this guy ever calling out any fake TIs or anything like that. And when you look at it and know how 95% of the people online are fake, how could you not see that if you just type in the term gang stalking? I mean, it's blatantly obvious that these are people, many of whom are paid to act crazy, and others will mix in truth with disinfo, like the guy who he mentions in this video, Brian 2. Sorry, also known as Brian Rutenberg, which I think is his real name, but he refers to himself as Brian 2, the disinfo crazy talker who mixes in some truthful material and who very likely is an intelligence agency operative, because he's traveling all around to these different countries freely, rarely posts any legitimate evidence of his own targeting other than himself shrieking and saying that he's being attacked by this V2K unprovable dribble like that. So that's what this guy, again, let's go on here.
I'm really shocked because...
No, you're not. This is feigned and contrived. Anyone can tell. Well, not anyone can tell. Some might be convinced by it, but I'm not.
There's this one gentleman that actually inspired me a lot to get into documenting what's going on.
Again, keep in mind he's preying upon emotion here. He wants you to think that he's a victim and that I'm some horrible person and that he looked up to me and all this nonsense. He was brought in to perp me. That's the bottom line. But
with myself and I found him on BitChute, and his name was Controlling the Narrative, and I guess he changed it now, but.
Well, no, actually, my main channel is called that still. I changed the name of the other one from Organized Stalking in Canada because you changed yours to an almost identical name on BitChute. Just changing it to Organized Stalking in Edmonton. So that's why I changed that one, Jay. Let's clarify that.
You put out a video that basically exposes me.
Yeah, and it did too. It did too. Except the only thing is, you're going to come on and lie about all these things, despite the fact that I pointed out many things that are highly suspicious, and also about how you repeat things that I say, how you took the title of my channel, how you took a picture that's very, very similar, not identical, but similar to the one headlight one that I have as my logo, how you've reenacted a specific scene in my life. With the train to Edmonton, again, reenacted it. All those points, yeah, those do add up, Jay.
It's I don't know. It's long-winded. It's not very. I don't know. He said
Well, to make all of the points I wanted to make, sometimes you have to be a little bit long-winded. Sorry if you found it long-winded, but I find this to be totally deceitful and dishonest, and you're a sociopath who is playing an acting role. You have assumed an identity. You're not really being targeted, and they have you assuming this identity to perp me and emulate things that I do. And of course, you're going to be freely accepted with open arms into this fake TI community filled with perpetrators like yourself.
He systematically just picks apart everything that I post, and
I didn't say systematically picked apart everything you post. You're saying that yourself. Don't put words in my mouth. Notice his eyes kind of getting wet and whatnot. This is all an act. These people are sociopaths. People like him. They can turn on the tears, the fake tears. They can do the whole deal, and it's all about exploiting your emotions to validate his perpetrating and to invert the situation and gaslight.
Me as a fraud and a shill and whatever, and
that's exactly what you are.
Brand new to this community, I guess you can say it.
Well, yeah, you were sent in. You were sent in to create the channel to do these things, and you're going to be accepted into these fake communities. And as we can see, they're already propping you up. 50 subscribers in 2 weeks for putting up the type of stuff you have. I mean, it's obvious that that's fake, and or it's a bunch of shills who they're sending in to prop you up, and some of them being AI because they want fake TIs propped up.
It is, but
and also they want him propped up because he's going to do these things to other people too. So if someone else reaches out to him, that's why I made the initial video. It has nothing to do with pride or anything specifically with me per se. Although it is kind of disgusting the way this guy conducts himself in such a phony way. But it's more about warning people about people like this, who present themselves like they're actually being targeted, and they actually reenact specific scenes from a person's life. And it's well known with the online targeting that they have people emulate you and do things like that. So he wants to pretend that that isn't the case, and I never hear him mention anything about directed conversation either in any of his videos for obvious reasons, other than when he's talking here a little bit about the things I've accused him of.
He didn't pick apart anything. I mean,
well, I did, Jay. I absolutely did. The thing is, there's two choices. They can believe me or they can believe you. One of us is lying, right, Jay? One of us is lying. Now, I have over 2 years of evidence on YouTube, 3 years in total on BitChute, and you just come in with no real legitimate evidence. You create a channel, you start emulating me, you take a similar photo to what I have as my logo, you change your other channel name to a name almost identical to the one I have, you reenact a specific scene from my life, you start saying things similar to what I say in your videos. So I think the evidence is pretty clear there. But let's go ahead.
You shared publicly a private email that...
Yeah, I shared the email publicly because I found out that you're a dishonest person and a shill who was sent in specifically to target me online. That's why. So there's no honor with there. I don't have to honor that with somebody who's going to do that to me, okay? So why wouldn't I share it online to warn others about you and expose you for what you are?
That I had sent to him, obviously in confidence. But like I said...
Yeah, in confidence, where you also sent something in that email about the specific event in my life that was identical to what you supposedly did with the train trip from Union Station to Edmonton, right? Yeah.
This guy...
And I caught on to it right away with the email, and then I didn't want to talk to you anymore. So then you went ahead and your handlers had you start doing this stuff so that I would see it, right? And that's why you directed me toward the channel with your initial email, because you wanted me to see this stuff that you were going to do. And your handlers wanted me to see it too, who tell you what to say. The people who are also monitoring my activities and things in my life.
Who I greatly respect.
I don't think you do. Because if you greatly respected somebody, you're not going to go out steal things that they emulate things that they do, steal things that are similar to their channel, take pictures that are almost the same as theirs, reenact events from their life. That's not something that you would do if you actually respected a person. That's something that you would do as a perpetrator against that person.
He's got excellent footage of his targeting. I have no doubt that he's a targeted individual because...
Well, look, I don't have to prove that to anyone, and I don't even use that term because it's controlled language and because so many of the people associated with that term, although it is an accurate term, are frauds. So I don't associate with people who generally use that term online because 95% of them are frauds, and I don't use the term gang stalking or most of the controlled language they use because that's a disinformation term that was used that is used to try and associate real people who are being targeted with these countless, endless amounts of fake TIs who they've set up online to discredit.
I mean, everything that he posts, you know, happens to us all. Like, it just happens to us all. But anyway, he was saying something about the one headlight, and then I copied it. I took a picture of a one headlight vehicle that I saw, which was behind where we work. Well, yeah, where we work and basically sleep because we're homeless. And
I don't believe you are. I don't believe you are. And again, this is all part of him trying to gain sympathy. Now, keep in mind what he's going to say here. I didn't say specifically he stole the exact same picture. I know the headlight's on the opposite side, but it's so similar. I mean, all you have to do is look at that, and you can see it's very, very similar. And when you put it together with the other points I made, it paints a clear picture of this guy as a perpetrator who's sent to do these things, to target me online, and to emulate things that I do and say, and to reenact events in my life. And really, when you're posing as someone like this, when real people are getting targeted in this way, it doesn't get much lower than this guy. But again, he's a sociopath, and he wants you to have sympathy for him.
yeah, but
And you should have empathy for people. Don't get me wrong. To some extent, I feel sorry that this guy's fallen so low that he's degraded himself to doing things like this against real targeted people. But he has. This is all an act. Rest assured, this is all an act.
yeah, it's one of the places where we sleep anyway. And
Now, let's clarify one thing. There is no way I would ever attack somebody who was a homeless person if I knew they were a legitimate targeted person who was homeless. He's just trying to use that to exploit empathy. Now, I hardly ever put out videos calling these people out. Only some of the major shows I have put out videos exposing them because it's important to know that for real people so that they don't get deceived by these people because they want you to reach out to them and then they're going to perp you. So I'm putting this out as a warning about people like this. But this guy specifically is geared specifically towards targeting me.
it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. Like, I was very surprised.
Sure you were. That's the whole point of why you set up the channel, was to get a reaction.
Especially because...
Sorry, why your handlers had you set up the channel, was to get a reaction.
Because, like, I'm basically a nobody.
Well, this is the thing. This is exactly the point. So why would I put something out about somebody who has no followers if it wasn't true? Why would I give that person exposure if it wasn't true? It doesn't make any sense to do that, what you're saying.
Nobody, like, I have like 4 subscribers, I think.
Well, on your BitChute, yeah, nobody sees it because they can see through a lot of stuff like that on there. On YouTube, of course, you got right away, within 2 weeks, 50 subscribers. 1/6 of what I have in 2 years. Give me a break. And look at the material he puts up, too.
You know, that's great, and I appreciate it. But
this is all playing the victim. I'm not going to go through the whole video.
You said that I was imitating him, and I...
Yeah, you were numerous times. The way I talk, specific things that I say in your videos. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can hear it where he's going like, interesting in the one video, where I say that quite frequently a lot. Now, I know it's a common word, and I'm not saying just because he says that, but when you put it together with all of the other stuff, I'm saying it paints a clear picture. I'm not just pointing out one thing, I'm pointing out many things.
And I stole a picture of his one headlight.
I didn't say it was specifically the picture that I have. I never said that at all. He's lying here.
Oh, he calls it. It's his logo.
If you look at it, you can see it's very, very strikingly similar. That's the point that was made.
It's his brand. And which isn't the case at all. I mean, if you look at the photo, my cover photo and his profile picture, it's actually, they're not the same at all. Like he said that I stole.
It's very similar, Jay. I mean, I just showed his picture. You can judge for yourself. It's very similar. Yeah, the headlight's on the other side, but the image itself is very similar.
That guy took his picture.
I didn't say that. Again, he's lying there. I never said he specifically took my picture. I made the point that it was very similar. So he's lying right there.
They're not the same photograph at all. I mean, one
Again, I never said it was the same photograph. Never once.
Light is actually a different color than the other one, and they're on opposite sides. The one headlight is on opposite sides. I understand you can flip them.
Don't start crying now, Jay. Don't give us any fake tears, okay?
The color of the headlight, I guess, through photo editing. I don't have a computer. Like, I do everything from a cell phone.
Yeah, but your handlers give you the stuff that they want you to put up to perp me. So
edit.
Whether or not that's true that you don't have a computer, I have my doubts. I think you're living pretty comfortably, and the whole thing that you're putting on is just an act, and you're not really homeless. But they've got a ton of TIs out there who've just assumed identities to discredit real people and to perp the real people who are going through this stuff.
Like, I can't afford
Get on with it. What else?
Basically a nobody, and I had no interaction with this guy before.
Well, you did when you emailed me, and then I said I didn't want to have any interaction with you, and then I looked for the channel that you spoke about, and I saw it on BitChute, so I happened to check it out. Just knowing that, hey, this is the person who emailed me. Saw he had hardly any subscribers, and saw the type of bunk he was putting up, and saw that he had changed the channel name specifically to Organized Stalking in Edmonton, when my second channel was called Organized Stalking in Canada. Put that together with all the other points I made.
After the email, we had no interaction.
Yeah, because I told you I didn't want anything to do with you, and I could see through you and see who you were. And then at that point, your handlers told you to persist with doing these things, and that's why the channel was created. And you directed me toward it so I would see it. And of course, I saw it at that point, and then looked at a couple of things that you had. Normally, I wouldn't care because I know that 95% of the people online are just fake TIs anyway. And this guy is one too, but he's a full-blown perpetrator. And so many of these people have actually assumed identities too. And they love perping people who are real. So if you're real and you associate with any of these people online, they're going to do this to you. They might at first be friendly to you. They might be welcoming. They might tell you, they've got this community and all that. Rest assured, if it's more than a few, maybe like 5 or 6 people, it's a fake community 100%. You might have very, very few small groups of real TIs out there, but the amount of actual real TIs are out there compared to what these people would have you believe, it's like night and day. There are very few real TIs. I would estimate no more than a couple hundred in any major city. But they want you to believe, you go on YouTube and you see all these people, these phonies, and they want you to believe it's that common, that they're just all around. It's fake. Just like Chuck Langenberg called it out. You don't have that many real TIs, like with his talkshoe.com, a site where he used to post his shows. He would say there's no possible way. You might have like 1 or 2 real TIs a month come through there. And then you see all these fake TIs going in there to Perp, and that's who this guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he's trying to hold it together.
His response,
because someone who he's never met online or whatever, and someone just who he claims my videos inspired him a bit, and he's going to well up with tears just because I called him out on the things he's doing. Come on.
It was actually...
Get serious.
It was not all that surprising. I mean, I can guess.
So he's talking about my response when I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, and I could see through who he was with the 007, putting 007 for secret agent at the end of his name, when all these other shills online do the same thing.
I can guess why. Like, you get... I don't want to put anybody down or anything, but...
Again, inverting the situation and trying to paint himself as the victim. He doesn't want to put anyone down. Sure you don't, Jay.
You can get paranoid, right?
Yeah, it's all paranoia. Now, all of these valid points I made are, according to you, just paranoia, when we know fully well that people are put online to perp real TIs, and that other real TIs have reported them doing this, emulating things that they do, doing those things to attack them, reenacting events in their lives. But you're going to just make that typical cliche dismissal that it's paranoia, right? Yeah, that doesn't hold any water here, buddy. You're lying. Again, like you have been about everything.
Hard time trusting people when things like this happen.
Of course, that's true. You do have a hard time trusting people when there's so many people like you out there posing as what you're posing as to discredit the real people who are being targeted and to perp them.
Like, my trust in people, my ability to trust people has been hurt a lot. But anyway, and then he goes on to say that, Brian 2 is an actor.
Yeah, okay, let's cover that part right there. Now, if you look into Brian 2, real name possibly Brian Rutenberg, there are so many things with this guy that just alarm bells are set off. And he does all of this crazy talking, saying that there's a supercomputer that's beaming voices into people's heads who are targeted, okay? And then he goes out and films videos of himself lying in bed, shrieking like a mad person, saying he's being attacked by these voices. And when you look at the whole V2K situation and how it goes in direct correspondence with one of the outcomes that they want, to have a person falsely labeled schizophrenic. So with V2K, there's people going around, fake people who are funded to do this, claiming they hear voices. And this guy here says, oh yeah, he hears the voices too. So he's another one pushing that to discredit real people and try and paint them as being schizophrenics, when all that V2K mumbo jumbo is just stuff that's put out by the intelligence agencies. And so people like Brian too are instrumental in pushing crap like that. But Brian too, where he's tricky is he also mixes in some real truth. So I'm not denying that he does give some real truth about the targeting program, but he's got to do that to draw you in. That's what all of these agents and shills will do.
Which he's not. I mean, if...
Yeah, he is. He is. He's an actor and more than likely an intelligence agency asset.
Like, if you knew, like, what was going on with this guy, like, he's living in his car.
Sure he is, Jay. That's just the act he puts on in his videos. If you believe Brian 2 is actually living in his car, I got some swampland in Florida to sell you, as the old saying goes.
And he's living in a parking lot, and,
That's all part of the act. They want you to believe he's legitimate. So they're going to put him in a situation to try and make people believe that he's legitimate and that he's going through the same things they are so that they can draw them in, again. And then he mixes in wild, crazy talk with legitimate information. That's his purpose. You have to have some legitimate information to draw you in, or no one's going to look at it. I'd like to point out also that Brian, too, has been associated with this one, I can't remember the specific name of the organization, but it's the organization who Chuck Langenberg called out as being a 100% fraudulent, shill, fake TI organization. And Chuck Langenberg was one of the few truth speakers about the targeting program who pretty much spoke absolute truth. Now, I'm not sure whether they faked his death and whether he was an agent who they put out. I'm not claiming he was 100% legitimate, but what I've seen of the program and what Chuck Langenberg talked about correspond almost precisely. Chuck Langenberg also called the V2K thing out as nothing more than a PSYOP hoax that was designed to discredit real targets. So, yeah, Brian 2 is associated with that, what is it called, Freedom from Covert Harassment or whatever, another well-known Shill organization that had Brian too on numerous times.
About the technology being used, as well as the gang stalking. But I mean, that's somebody, like, he has an informed background.
No, well, yeah, because he's with an intelligence agency and he's an operative, they're going to give him some information, and he is going to have an informed background because some of the people who they put in are actually some of the people who are involved in planning the targeting program. So of course he's going to be informed and he's going to be knowledgeable about that. But then he's also going to go out and act crazy and start filming videos in his bed, shrieking like a madman, and going out and acting crazy and doing crazy talk and saying there's a supercomputer that's trying to duplicate all the brains of all humans in the world, and it's beaming voices into people's heads while giving you some valid info about the targeting program. So it's much more sophisticated than a lot of people know. That's who Brian 2 is. Of course, this guy's going to promote him because you can see who this guy is as well. And he's going to grow, make no mistake. You see him at 50 subscribers now. That's going to increase dramatically over the coming months, I believe.
So I would think, he's qualified.
If he keeps posting, which I suspect he will. Because he's got to keep emulating me and putting stuff up to Perp me. I'm not going to watch any more of this guy's material anyway.
Of things like this, just like Robert Duncan.
Now again, Robert Duncan is a person who is admittedly of a CIA background, and anyone who you hear where they're saying, oh, CIA whistleblower who's turned around or whatever, that's not real. They don't do that. You can't do that. There's no whistleblowers against the CIA. When you join those organizations, you're in them until you're dead. With the types of information those people are given, they can't allow you to just leave that organization, and they sure as hell are not going to allow you to go around on all these shows exposing it. If you're real, they have you snuffed out in a heartbeat. So Robert Duncan is another one who pushes this V2K stuff to try and discredit real people who are being targeted. And he is admittedly from a CIA background. Like I said, there's no ex-CIA. If you're CIA, you're in it for life. So they're playing both sides, the duality, the dark and the light. So they're also going to put out controlled people who are going to tell you some truth. Dr. Robert Duncan is mainly about pushing the V2K stuff, and that's his main purpose, and he's another operative. But again, he gets widely promoted because they want to mix this stuff in, and they want you to associate targeting more with that type of thing. Just like that guy Roy in the UK with his show always focuses more on that, the wild voices in people's heads stuff that they've concocted themselves to discredit real people who are being targeted and show real evidence. That's not part of it at all.
The other guy, Ed Rugaberg or something like that. I can't even remember his name. But he mostly just reposts information. Like, he doesn't share any of his experiences at all. But no, I'm really blown away about the email because he mentions the 007 thing, and I wasn't a targeted individual always. Like I had that email for years.
Well, you weren't one until they decided they wanted you to assume that identity. Then you became one, right? That's how it worked.
Since probably 20...
Again, I wouldn't advise people to go around using that term, targeted individual, because if you do, they're going to group you in with these people who they funded and put up online. And there's other ways of describing it. You have to be creative. But I try to avoid using that terminology because it was specifically designed to associate you with people who they have put out to discredit you. Well, if you're real. And there aren't many real ones at all who actually post material online. Very, very few.
Yeah.
Most people, real people, are too intimidated to do that, and they think the targeting will get worse if you do it. And to some extent, it will. But it also, you have no other option, realistically, than to at least document, even if you're not putting the stuff online.
I mean,
you do have another option, and that's just to stand by and let it happen, but I wouldn't advise that without documenting it. It's not a good idea.
I did like James Bond. I was into...
Yeah, so the 007 was just James Bond, and I guess all these other fake shills who go around posting online, posing, as targets and whatnot, who use that 007, they all just did it because they like James Bond too. And it's not a way of mocking people by throwing it right out there because it represents secret agent, right, Jay? Sure.
I was into all those movies.
Okay. Let's get on with what else.
To anybody, but you know, I have a lot of respect for this guy. I still do.
Well, I don't believe you do, because you wouldn't be doing these things to Perp if you actually did. So that's another lie.
Despite him, you know, attacking me. And
now here again, he's trying to invert it, twist it around, turn himself into the victim when he is the one who's the perpetrator. So I didn't attack him. I pointed out things that he did. I spoke the truth, and I told people things that he did. Why would I attack someone with absolutely no following? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Calling me a fraud and a shill. You can believe what you like. But if you actually look at some of my videos, like I have the footage, you know, the one headlight thing, like it's a real thing. I mean, like it's, you know, I don't know. I'm just recording what I see, and I don't always have a camera on. And the funny thing is that a lot of the times when I try and record what these guys are doing to me, they immediately stop what they're doing. Like,
well, that's why you get a pair of camera glasses or a body camera, and either you switch the camera on or the camera glasses on whenever you go out. So then immediately you're going to catch everything, rather than holding up your phone. You know, they can see that if you're holding up your phone.
that guy.
And it doesn't cost much either. The pair of camera glasses are only about $100 Canadian, and a decent body camera is only about the same price. So one of the two. I know, you know, even if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, that's an important purchase you should get, because they're going to go after you if you use your phone all the time, and they're going to accuse you and invert the situation. I have used my phone in the past only when I had to, and a lot of times it doesn't turn out well when you use it. During the earlier days, I used to use it.
That he was just standing there. Like, you got to understand what he was doing before the camera. You know, before.
So why didn't you show what he was doing before? Why wouldn't you record as soon as you go out? If you were a legitimate target, you'd be recording as soon as you go out. You wouldn't just wait and then film somebody's back and say he's targeting you. That makes no sense.
Camera on, like, the guy was over there staring at us, and he was just.
You have no footage of him staring at you. We're just yeah okay. So you just started filming when he had his back turned. A real targeted person with any sense films as soon as they step out, and the whole time. And that's why you need to be discreet and either have a small body camera or camera glasses. You can use your phone, but you better switch it on as soon as you go out, and you better believe you're going to be attacked if you use your phone and have people accuse you of filming them and inverting the situation. So you're better off using the other two options I mentioned. But if you have nothing else, obviously you should record with your phone if there's no other option.
You know, and he was staring at us, and so I decided to grab the camera. You know, it's not earth-shattering evidence. Yeah, but anyway, like, I mean, obviously this guy is really offended by me. And
no, it's not that. It's just I'm pointing out the things that you're doing, and anyone can see here with any sense that you're trying to play the victim, and this is all an act. So that's all I'm going to say here. This is the end of it with this guy. I don't care what else he puts up. I don't care if he responds to this. I've made my points. There's one of two possibilities here. Either I'm lying or he's lying. You can determine who is, but one of us is. Okay? That's all there is to it. Not responding to this guy anymore. And that's the end of it. Again, watch for his subscriber count to dramatically increase in the coming months. Because that's what they do for these fake TIs who they set up. Okay?